share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share. Recipe Share, Recipe Share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV, where we take a few minutes to share recipes from a featured category. Today's category is freezer friendly. I'm Beth, and I'm joined by Katie and Elizabeth to tell us about the recipes. So Katie, tell us about your recipe.
Sorry, muted. The recipe that I am sharing today comes from this awesome book that I found at the library. It's called It's Always Freezer Season: How to Freeze Like a Chef with 100 Make-Ahead Recipes. This is by Ashley Christensen and Caitlin Golan. I've made a couple of things from this book and they've all been great. So I might share some more in the future. But the recipe that I am sharing with you today is for turkey chili with white beans. So it sounds pretty basic. I make turkey chili a lot. It's my favorite kind of chili to make, and I usually look at the recipes when I see it. And when I looked at this recipe, it had a couple of ingredients in it that I don't typically use in chili. So I was excited to give it a try. So it does start out pretty basic. You just take your Dutch oven. Oh, this particular recipe makes 7 quarts. So if you wanted to make a ton of chili, you could totally follow it as is, but I quartered it and it still made plenty for dinner and leftovers. So in your Dutch oven, heat up some olive oil and then put in some diced onions and get those nice and soft, a little bit brown. Add some salt, oregano, and cumin and just stir that all together, and then turn down your heat a little bit, and you're going to add your ground turkey and just cook that, breaking it up until there's no pink left. And then you add in tomato paste, chili powder, bay leaves, paprika, a little bit more salt, and then the ingredients that I'm not used to were cocoa powder and cinnamon. And I've seen, I think, like on some cooking shows before where people add chocolate to their chili. I've just never done it. And so I was excited to try it and see how it was. So you add all those things and then you add some canned diced tomatoes and their juices. Break all that up, get it mixed together. Then you add some chicken stock, tomato sauce, bring everything to a boil, and you're going to cook it for about 45 minutes. At this point, I could definitely smell the cocoa powder and cinnamon. It was very aromatic. Like it was just a different smell than I'm used to when I'm cooking chili, but it was really good. It smelled amazing. But I was still just like, how is this going to taste? Is this going to taste like chocolate? But kept going. Once that's all been simmering for a while, you add your beans, just canned white beans. I used cannellini, drained, rinsed, throw those in the chili and cook it for like another 10 minutes. You just take out your bay leaves at the end and it's ready to serve. It tasted awesome, but you couldn't taste the cocoa powder and cinnamon as much as you could smell it. Like it really just added to how it smelled when it was cooking. And then when the taste was just really subtle from those flavors. I thought it was amazing though. It was definitely different than I'm used to making chili, and I will probably do it again because I thought it was so cool and the smell was just like so fragrant and nice in the house. Ate it for dinner, and then what I do with just about any kind of soup after I make it is put it in like individual size Tupperwares, date it, and throw it in the freezer. And then the night before I want to eat it again, I just take it out and put it in the fridge, and then it's ready to go for lunch, usually is what I do. It's nice, simple, easy way to have a hot lunch, especially now that it's finally starting to get cold here. I'm excited to have these in my freezer to pull out for a comfort food when it's chilly. Chilly when it's chilly.
I
was so surprised as you were describing this because when you said turkey and white bean chili, I pictured a um pale colored chili, which is what I've done before. You know, if I make chicken chili or turkey chili, it's usually maybe it has like some green chilies in it, but it's not red. But obviously this was had those spices that you would typically find in, you know, oh, like a beef tomato chili, and it sounds great. And just one comment is I read somewhere once that the smell of things really affects how we taste them. So even though you maybe didn't taste the cocoa and cinnamon a lot, it might have been affecting how you were enjoying the chili just because it was, you know, such a strong scent. So sounds great.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It definitely affected the way that I felt about it.
Yeah, that is how they make Cincinnati chili. I'm pretty sure it's got the cocoa and the cinnamon. Um, and you know how Cincinnati they have a whole world of chili in that city, with the three-way, but anyway, sounds good. Sounds like a different way to make it, and sure.
For sure.
It's
I didn't
always good
know
to
that
use it
about Cincinnati, so that's good to know.
yeah.
All right, Elizabeth, tell us about your freezer-friendly recipe.
All right. Well, as you guys are freezer queens. I'm not, I don't use my freezer very much. So this is good for me because I wish I did. And I want to be like Katie, who has things in the freezer ready to go, but I'm not. So anyway, oh, I also did make soup, but I've been cooking out of this cookbook, Easy Weeknight Dinners. This has been fabulous. I'm considering buying it actually, because every single thing is great. It's actually a selection of recipes from New York Times Cooking, which we've talked about before, but I know some people don't like to subscribe to that. And to them, I would say check out this book because you'll get a real great sampler of what you might find on there. And I liked it because my favorite thing about New York Times Cooking is the comments that people can add about substitutions that they made. And they include some of these in the cookbook. So that's kind of cool. So anyway, for my soup, I made Italian pasta and chickpea stew, which in Italian, I'm gonna bungle this, but it's pasta e ceci. I don't know. But you can see here what it's supposed to look like. This was super easy. Basically, you heat some olive oil in a large soup pot, add a finely chopped yellow onion and give it a stir until it's softened. Add 3 finely chopped garlic cloves, a couple teaspoons of chopped fresh rosemary, and some red pepper flakes, and then just kind of get all those going. Then you have a can of diced tomatoes and a can of chickpeas that are drained and rinsed. And you're kind of supposed to mash those up a little bit after you put them in. I didn't really do that. I don't, people like that consistency. I didn't do that, but you're supposed to. Then you add in some water, increase the heat to high and bring to a boil. Add in this pasta called, you probably know it, called ditalini. It's very small pasta. I could not find this at Kroger. I have seen it there before, and I've definitely seen it at Arbor Farms, but I didn't feel like going to a whole nother store. So I used a very small, like orzo like pasta, and that was fine. And then okay, so you bring that in, let it cook until the pasta is al dente. And then I liked this too. It said the water will be mostly absorbed by the pasta, but if you want it brothier, you can add some more water in. At this point, I also did a spoonful of better than bouillon because it didn't call for broth and I kind of wanted a more brothy flavor. So that took away from it being vegetarian. But that's what I did. You could also use vegetable broth or just water, but I kind of wanted a little bit more flavor in there. And then last but not least, you're supposed to add in 4 cups of roughly chopped, they called for escarole, Tuscan kale, or radicchio. I used the Tuscan kale. Put that in, season with some more salt and pepper, taste and adjust the seasonings, and then ladle it into bowls and top with pecorino and a drizzle of olive oil. I didn't have pecorino, I had Parmesan. This was so good. I ate it when I made it and then froze the rest. And I've actually unfrozen some of it and had more. And I would highly recommend it. It was so easy and so delicious. Like it said it took 30 minutes. I agree. To make a soup, like a weeknight soup, this would be great because you sometimes soups take so long. I loved it. Definitely going to keep it in the rotation, and I loved having it in the freezer to reach in and grab. You're just like, there it is. So, yeah. I didn't say that I have a photo, but I do. I'll probably put it in a little bit earlier and let folks see that too. So, yeah.
Sounds delicious. I am not a huge fan of kale, but I do like it in soup, and I love that it like adds that green to it. Sounds great with the orzo. I love that you didn't smash your chickpeas. I wouldn't have either. And I'm gonna check out that book. I don't think I've seen it before. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, I like kale, but I feel like you could also throw spinach in. It's just really
Sure,
something
yeah.
for the greens, you know,
Mhm.
to get that in there. So,
Yeah, that
uh,
sounds delicious. I think it's chi beans. I mean, I know that chi
thank
is
you.
another name for
Chickpea.
garbanzo beans and
Okay, good. Thank you for
what
the
else do we
correction.
call them? Anyway,
Yeah.
you know,
Great.
I've been around the block a few times, so I
I
know.
know, I haven't. I'm very
Yeah.
provincial, so. All right, Beth, over to you.
All right. Well, I got a book out myself. You know, now Elizabeth's right. Katie and I, we use our freezers, and if you're lucky enough or fortunate enough to have a deep freezer, it's so handy to just be able to buy, bulk things. But anyway, I got the best freezer cookbook. I don't think it was the best, but it did have some tips in it that I wasn't aware of, and I made one of the recipes. I didn't care for it. It was a tuna salad with some other ingredients, but not mayonnaise. So they were saying that you shouldn't freeze mayonnaise, and that you use cream cheese. But again, I'm not going to tell about that recipe because while I kept thumbing through this book, right in front of me all this time was our freezer jam that we almost always have in the fridge. Probably my entire married life, I've had strawberry freezer jam in our freezer or in the fridge, and that you make with gel. Have you ever made any jam before? Okay, this is not, it's really, really easy. Inside the gel is the quick and easy freezer jams and recipes. So with strawberry, you use 2 cups of crushed strawberries, 4 cups of sugar. And you can't mess with the sugar, and there's, I guess, a different gel if you're gonna use an alternative to sugar, but anyway, you have to measure exact amounts of the fruit and the sugar. You mix that, let it stand, so that it gets the juices going. In the meantime, you stir a package of gel with 3/4 of a cup of water in a small saucepan. You bring it to a boil, remove it from the heat, add that to your fruit, and then yeah, just mix it up. You also have to uh what do clean your jars, sanitize. You have to sanitize your jars. So just quick in boiling water. This makes 7 cups. So anyway, once you've mixed it all up, you put it in your jars, leave some space for the top, and 1/2 inch. Let it stand at room temperature for 24 hours, and then you can refrigerate it or freeze it up to a year. And that's why we always have it in the freezer. Um, you just thaw it in the refrigerator before using. I probably do have a picture, I'll grab, but you can put it on your ice cream, you can definitely on toast, so it was just funny as I was thumbing through this again, like, oh, I don't like any of the recipes. There was the jam on my table, and so thought it was worth sharing. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I can't believe that I didn't know that you always have strawberry freezer jam at your house. I will be rating that from now on when I come over. That was like my favorite food when I was a kid. My grandma made strawberry freezer jam, and I used to like get caught eating it with a spoon. I definitely put it on ice cream. I've never made it, and so I'm super excited to try that. It doesn't sound too difficult. I always thought it was
not.
really complicated. So I'm super excited that you decided to share that one. Thank you so
Good.
much.
Do you use fresh strawberries, Beth?
Yeah, you use fresh strawberries, and the recipe that comes inside, it's got apricot, blackberry, blueberry, like all the recipes, but
That's
with
cool.
different things. Peach. I know we've had peach before, but I've never made any of these other ones. And truth be told, I don't typically make them, but I could. It's so easy, you guys. You could make it. You could buy just your strawberries at the store today and make some and have freezer jam. So yeah, I'm
Yum.
glad I shared it because it's really crazy easy. So that's my story. And with that, I will say, let's see, what are we doing next time? But thank you for watching Recipe Share. Be sure to click the link below to look at the event page on aadl.org to find the recipes we talked about and share your own in the comments. Join us next time when we'll be talking about soups on is what it will be, and we look forward to seeing what you've been making. So thanks for sharing.
Recipe share, recipe share, share a little recipe with Recipe Share.